and welcome to Caribbean Brilliance, where we highlight the contribution of Caribbean Americans, where we give them a platform to tell their story in hopes that it would inspire the future and present generation. Today, we have Mr. Karl, I don't know how to pronounce the middle name, so he'll figure that out in a second, founder of Uncle Waithley's beverage owner and founder of 67 Orange Street and Anchor Spa Cocktail Bar. I said that right?
You did. It's Franz.
Franz. Oh. And mine's is Francois. That's embarrassing.
It's right there.
So, Karl Franz Williams. So,
Yes.
This is Caribbean Brilliance. So, I want to go straight into your island roots.
Okay.
So, you are from, or your family is from St. Vincent and the Grenadines, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Since you wasn't fully born here, but we accept you as Caribbean American, you said you went back and forth to the island?
Yeah.
Like, what is a fun memory you have from going back and forth and visiting?
You know, I used to, like, I love the outdoors.
Yeah.
And there's just something about, you know, the outdoors in general, but when you're in the Caribbean, just that, you know, it's the air, it's the smell, it's the
smell.
vibrancy,
Yeah.
you know, and so I used to love, there's a volcano, like the center of St. Vincent, this is the center, it's kind of off center, whatever, it's like a volcano called the Soufrière.
Okay.
And it's an active volcano, so you can hike up to the top and kind of look in, and sometimes you see steam rising and all that. So I remember as a kid going, and my dad, I get that sort of like adventurous outdoor thing from my dad,
Yes.
and I guess he gets it from his dad. So whenever we'd go back, that would be the thing to go hiking in Soufrière, or like, so that's one big one for me.
Is that something, I know you have, I think it's 2 sons, or how many?
Well, I have 2 sons, yes,
Okay.
and I have, so this is kind of dope because, you know, my wife and I rolled the dice.
Okay.
We had 2 boys.
Okay.
And it was like, well, we really want a girl, but we might end up with a boy.
Right.
But we went for it, and we have a 2-month-old girl.
You went to Yale, you did all the fancy stuff, you worked for all the fancy corporation, you're supposed to be the man, right?
Yeah.
Would you say you going to school and doing all that you have done have definitely benefited you in what you're doing now? Because sometimes people say, forget college because the people from Facebook didn't go, the people from Apple didn't go. But do you going to Yale, that benefited you?
Yeah, and the argument is they did go. They started there and then dropped out.
Yeah.
So they got what they needed, right? And
That's a good way of looking at it.
One thing that I will say about the school that I went in and other schools like that is just the connections. The people that you meet are everywhere doing everything. And so, you know, it just gives you a network. And now, I mean, I don't say nowadays is any different than any time, but network is how you get things done.
True.
That's who you
Building
know, really.
relationships,
Yeah.
right?
So,
Okay, so
that's the biggest part of
So
it.
it helped going to that kind of school, and some of the people that you meet, you're still friends with them today, and they have somewhat helped you in.
There's those who are still my friends, and then there's those who just share the common bond of we went there.
So you being in corporate and doing all that with Pepsi Cola, so forth and so on, how have been working in corporate help you with what you're doing, your business, or starting it, or yeah?
You know, on one hand, very different skill sets.
Okay.
You
So
know,
a lot you had to learn from scratch.
I had to start over again, and so that's kind of the crazy thing about the move that I made. And you know, like you sort of look back at sort of how you're like, there was on some degree, like having, you know, I went to Yale, I was at these big Fortune 50 companies. There was no reason I didn't have to go and hustle. I didn't have to go and learn, you know, learn how to.
So people be like, you're crazy.
Well, that's the thing.
Like you were living your best life.
I was living my best life, and I decided, hey, you know what? I want to go learn the ways of the streets, you know, per se, right? And I'm not saying the streets in a negative way at all. I'm saying that, like, as a small business owner, there's a certain hustle and grit that it takes to survive and be successful there. That's different than what it takes to be successful in corporate America. And so there are skills that are transferable. There's a lot of skills that aren't. And for me, it was learning those skills that weren't transferable, learning how to work with much smaller budgets, to, you know, like.
So now I want to talk about the brand and the bottle, right? So I come to understand that Uncle Waithley's was not your uncle,
No, 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 no. You know, a term of endearment.
Right.
So that Uncle Waithley was my grandfather.
Okay, so talk more about your grandfather, how you end up naming it after your grandfather, who Uncle Waithley's. Like, how did that come about?
Yeah, I mean, so there's a couple kind of parts to there. My grandfather was a like almost outsized influence in kind of my experience growing up, and I mean, so we had 13 kids. So I have a whole lot of aunts and uncles on my dad's side who were...
Sound like you're from the islands. That's how I know you're an authentic Caribbean person.
Yeah, yeah. And so, but like, I just remember so much his love for family, how much he cared about health, and music.
Yeah.
These were the things. Like, he played the piano, and he just loved his music. He cared about health, cared about family. He was a God-fearing man.
Yeah.
And so those sort of things are core values, I think, for me. He lived to be 100, which first of all I also thought was pretty amazing.
That is amazing.
Six-pack into his 70s.
Really?
You know, yeah. So it was just like I think about it sometimes, like, you know, if he saw himself on the bottle, what he would think, right?
Yeah, wow.
I wish that I could have had that experience to see that in real life, just to,
I know, that
to
would have been
present it to him.
amazing.
It was, you know, whenever we would say, oh, we're from the Caribbean, everyone would automatically assume we were Jamaican.
Yeah.
You know, they would hear my father talk.
Every time you're from any island, you must be Jamaican. But Mali, that's universal.
So I was like, I gotta put Vincy on the map.
Oh,
you know,
no, that's awesome.
So that was the thinking.
Thank goodness. See, you're on the map.
We're on the
So how many flavors do you have up to now? Because you started with one flavor only, and then you added the other flavors?
Yeah, so think of them all as being on this base of, so ginger beer is what you could call it, right? But it's so much more, and part of that is because I don't know a family from the Caribbean who doesn't have some connection to ginger beer.
Yes, so true.
You know, we all
during Christmas time, we had commercial ginger beer, and then you add some. So it's always you're adding something to ginger.
So, but it's those nuances that were not playing out in anything that was on the shelf here. And so I was just like, man, you know, so I could go and just make just a straight up ginger beer, and it would be better, but it would still, I just saw the opportunity to add so much nuance to it to be even more than a ginger beer. So I like to call our product like, kind of, you know, so the sophisticated way. It's an adult non-alcoholic beverage that's made with ginger and our, like, you know, hero ingredient, which is Scotch bonnet pepper.
Right.
But I wanted this product to be amazing on its own. Like, I just wanted it to, and so when you think about ginger, it has like the ginger beer that we make back home has a bite.
Yeah.
You know, it's strong. It's strong ginger taste.
It burn your chest.
But that's because it's of the freshness of it,
right.
And then also the fact that we let it rest for a while, right? And so those combination of those things, and so both of those build into we use a lot of ginger. It's all fresh ginger. There's no, we're not buying extracts. You know, we're not buying dried ginger. We're not buying ginger juice. We are buying fresh ginger and using that to make it, and then. We let it rest for a while, so it kind of gets this sort of, we call it maturation
of the ginger flavor. How long does it rest? I'm just curious.
That's kind of a company secret.
Okay.
We don't really tell how
okay, this is like a McDonald's situation, the fries. I got it.
So there's parts of it we don't say, you know, it's the recipe.
No, that's good, because someone always waiting in the wing to duplicate it. So this right now is your space. It should continue to be a space for a long time.
You know what?
So now that we have talked about it, let's show you what makes Uncle Waithley's so special. Wow, right? So I'll have you know that they're in over 225 Whole Food stores. I know. It's one near you. Go get yours.
Go get it.
Right? Plus bars, restaurant. Okay, so I know you're in most likely the east, right? New York,
it's all
that
East
stuff.
Coast, yeah.
So what are the plans on expanding? You thinking of going international? Like, what are the plans?
Definitely international. We actually, we'd probably go West Coast first, right?
Okay.
We think that there's a great opportunity on the West Coast, California, kind of coming around to Texas, Texas with spice, California with fresh and natural, just areas we think we'll play really well in.
Right.
We are in Canada today, in a few parts of Canada, in a few places there. I have a lot of interest in London, the UK,
Is it really a hard work to get from one to the next? Like even get into Whole Foods, was that really like a struggle, or how was that?
So this is crazy. Whole Foods was our first customer outside of
like bars,
of our own bars,
right.
actually, and so it was a serendipitous opportunity. A friend of mine was running a good friend of mine, her name is Nicole Evans. She was running a program called the Harlem Local Vendor Program. That was there's so many people within our community that create things and don't have a real route to market for that.
True.
And so she was like, "How do I solve that problem?" We didn't go through the program. But when I called her, I was like, "Hey, I've been working on this product. I think it could be really cool. I think it could work. Can you connect me with Whole Foods?"
Yeah.
And she was like, "Sure." Right.
Wow.
And so
See,
she made
but go back to what you said, relationships,
Yep.
right?
Yep. And so she made the call, and I sent a deck. And I sent 2 mason jars.
Yeah. Yeah.
And one of the mason jars arrived completely fermented and exploded in the box.
Really?
The other one was was leaking a little bit. The guy still took it, he tasted it, and I remember him saying to me, he was like, if you can do this, then I'm willing to give you a shot in the store.
Really?
And so if can you solve all these problems? Can you make this happen? I was like, I got this. Finding distributors is one of the first major hurdles. I would say the first major hurdle in building a brand is finding a co-manufacturer to make it, or to help you make it, to make it to scale. Second problem would be finding someone to help you with distribution. And probably third would be learning how to, and being able to sell it in and find the retail part of that.
So you all heard that, okay? He basically told you exactly what you need to do and what to follow. Good luck. But so you being, black, which is obvious, and Caribbean, like any special challenges you would say you would face compared to your counterparts?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, first of all, the category is called CPG, Consumer Products Goods. And within the CPG space, there are very few of us that are making it to the shelf. Not that we don't have a ton of products,
right?
But if you go into any pick your favorite grocery store, any grocery store, walk in and see how many products there are made by entrepreneurs of color, out of the hundreds of thousands of products you'll find in any grocery store. And the answer is very, very few. On the beverage aisle, oftentimes, there's like 1 or 2 of us at all together. And so, so there's always that hurdle. And I found even in sort of circles where it's supposed to be about enabling people of color to make it, you still see very few of us in that sort of people of color spectrum.
So why do you think it is? Is it some of us giving up, or it's 10 times harder than the other people, so that's the reason? Or
so I think first of all, it's just it boils access to capital is huge. These are very expensive companies to launch, and you don't make any money until you get to scale. So you have to be able to build a product that crosses all these hurdles. It has to be priced right for the market. It has to be labeled right. You have to have someone who's going to make it for you, someone who's going to distribute it for you, and then you have to have the capital. Like the hardest part is not getting on the shelf. The hardest part is getting the product off the shelf. So you have to figure out.
But honestly, no one thinks of this because they'll see you and be like, wow, he's doing it. He has mad money, but no one's hears behind the scenes. And this is why I want to bring attention. So in case someone else is, young person from another tiny island want to do this, yes, it's good to dream and have a vision, but know a lot of work going to go into it.
Absolutely. And the work is, this is where that sort of small business experience made the big difference for me, is because that grit, that learning to just knock down barriers and not give up and find a way to make things happen, how to work around corners and, go under, over, through, whatever you have to do. Like, that's a skill that I think you really master in being a small business person, because by structurally, there just aren't, you have a lot fewer advantages to work with.
Gotcha.
And then in business, it's all about whatever advantage you can create. It's like a massive game of chess. You create advantages through pricing, through distribution, through marketing efforts, through whatever, because it's a competitive marketplace. So it's about advantages, and so it's like, as a small business person, you learn how to create those, because they're not given to you. They're not promised to you.
All right. In this moment, what I would love to do is present Mr. Karl with, awesome. In this moment, I would like to present Mr. Karl Franz with this special cup, and it says, in recognition of amplifying Caribbean brilliance, we thank you for your contributions.
Oh, wow. Thank you. This is super cool.
Don't say I never give you nothing. I expect you to give me drinks for that.
Well, no, I mean, I am, I am not. Don't take it away from me. This is mine. I would leave this right here. I don't know if we need to leave it here for that, but no. I'm taking this. And I'll tell you, that's the other side of being a small business person. Is oftentimes you feel like you're doing so much for so little appreciation.
True.
Because you work really, really hard. Like, there's no difference in how hard you work, whether you're working in small business or big business. It's not like there's like this, like, okay, I'm doing small business, so I'm not going to work as hard, and you're working just as hard.
Yeah.
The hours are often longer.
And
right?
most people don't think, no one sees that part. They see the glamour, they see the videos, the Instagram, all that stuff. So I just want to show some highlight on new projects, like you're reimagining your iconic 67 Orange Street bar that launches in September. Yep. So just tell the people a little about that. And the Anchor Spa in New Haven recently launched the Pan-Caribbean Spring menu. So tell us a little about that.
Yeah, so I'm very proud of our, what I've done in the bar space. It's kind of been, the thing that has helped. So if you look at all the parts of it, Uncle Waithley's is kind of a full circle, kind of culmination of everything. Okay. My work in the bar space has created a name recognition, for me. Like, people know that what I've done in terms of creating these amazing bars with great drinks and experiences, and I've gotten some really amazing recognition. 67 Orange Street was picked in Esquire as one of the top 27 bars in America. Right. We used to make New York City Time Out top 50 bars literally every year. We were recognized in the world's 50 best, like that sort of recognition in the space, and so. We saw the opportunity to kind of pause what we were doing. The space was really small. It had been that way for 16 years, but we saw, wanted to do more with it. And so we're reimagining it. And the new concept will be kind of step from where 67 Orange was and kind of keep the mystery, the idea going. So it was one of the first modern speakeasies in Harlem. Okay. I mean, Harlem was known for speakeasies during the Harlem Renaissance, but the first mixology bar in Harlem. Really? And so we want to kind of lean into history and what we're doing next.
That's awesome.
Anchor already has a ton of history. It was first opened back in 1939 and was there right up until 2015 when it closed.
Where is that one
time.
Located?
That's in New Haven, Connecticut.
Okay.
So I got to reimagine it as a modern cocktail bar, and we've sort of played with the concept over time. But I started serving Pan-Caribbean menu there.
And what is Pan-Caribbean? Because I like when people say stuff that not everyone knows what that
it means. Yeah.
We pretend like, really? Oh my God.
I don't know.
What is Pan-Caribbean?
Yeah, so it basically means that we try to celebrate the Caribbean in its entirety.
Okay.
And so we have what we do is it's the anchor. So we talk about anchoring in ports. Okay. And so the menu kind of goes down different port cities. Each port city, so we'll say, Bridgetown, Barbados. Okay. We'll mention. So it just sort of goes down each of the ports.
Okay, in the Caribbean.
In the Caribbean.
Okay.
And so each island, and so we'll have 7 to 10 at any one time, and each port we'll have a little bit of the history of that port, a little bit of story, you know, or my experiences in that port.
Yeah.
And then from there, we have a food and drink pairing. So a cocktail that we'll do that's inspired by the port, as well as a dish inspired by the port.
I can't wait to see where you do with Trinidad.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, no, we have some. You have to check it out.
That's what we do here. We like to support our own.
For sure.
But so we're winding down now. So I have some questions to see how Vincy are you.
Uh-oh.
Oh, Lord. So the first question is, name a soca artist that is not skinny fabulous. Well, technically, you could give me any name, I wouldn't even know. But our viewers will know.
Yeah, you know, soca's not. I don't know. I would say soca's. Like I listen to a lot of soca artists that are from Trinidad.
Of course. Because we do run things.
And so that's kind of where I'm like, you know, do I want to jump straight to Trinidadian artists like versus St. Vincent? So I'm gonna pass on the question because
you don't want to get in trouble.
Exactly.
Okay, what is a Vincy saying, and what? So give me a Vincy saying and tell me the meaning behind it.
Well, I was telling you one earlier, so it kind of, you were like, don't rush me. And I was like, well, we used to say, girl, will rush me.
Yeah.
But it was a style of, it was a haircut. So it meant that you had a high top, and they would say, like, girls rush me because of my hairstyle. So like, girl, will rush me.
Girl, will rush me. Okay, what is the best way to eat breadfruit? Roasted or fried?
Well, I mean, you roast it, of course, first, and then you fry it in butter.
Wait, I don't know.
I mean...
Maybe people roast it and then they just eat it like that.
You know, that's not bad, but I love to roast it and then fry it in butter.
Okay, you just want to be extra. What's the difference between a Vincy and someone from the Grenadines? Is there a difference?
There's no difference. It's one island. Not one island, but it's one country.
One country. See? But sometimes people have no idea, so now they learn something. I'm sure a lot of people right now is like, we got to Google that. Where is that? How many people? How many people live there? Like 100,000? How many people? 60,
yeah, so about 130,000.
Okay,
yeah.
So when he left, they have the island thing. Okay, so you have two sons, and I know you have a daughter, but we're focusing on the young men, right?
Okay.
When they are much older, to be able to understand like what daddy has fully accomplished, what is one of the biggest lessons you want to leave for them at this particular moment? Because I believe later on it's going to change, right?
Resilience and grit. You know, like they've seen, like you try to kind of shield them from any of the challenges that life has. You want them to get you to have what they want, but you know, I want them to understand that, you know, they've never seen their dad hang his head. You know, they may have overheard like there was this thing going on or that thing, but like I was always there. I was always up for the challenge. I was always pushing through things. So.
Because one of those things I like to mention, see how all the success you have had, and you said you want to give your kids obviously an easier life, a softer life, whatever, but you don't want them to struggle up maybe whatever struggles you have. I always say is that I understand we, being like first generation, want our kids to have it all, but sometimes that could end up being a negative. Like, do you have any idea in this moment how you would?
Yeah.
Because that's scary.
You're soft.
Because no matter how you do it, you know what I'm saying? Because you can't go back in the day. I tell you not to do this, and you get. But now you're like, hey, so do you ever think about that?
Well, I do. I think, but I also think that they have to find their own path. I did that, right? I made some choices that like I would have a hard time going to. You know, if my son was saying I'm leaving, you know, Pepsi to go, you know, open a...
Like what?
Right. I'd be like, let's talk about that first. And you know, mainly because I know how hard it is.
Right.
And how much I've had to overcome in this journey. And of course I would want to protect him from that. Right. I'd want him to, you know, or my daughter, I want her to not have to go through that when I know that they're like, I would almost want the work that I've done to have created an easier path to whatever it is that they need to get to.
Because I remember I saying that because Steve Harvey had said, we all know Steve Harvey's story, but it says even though his kids venture out and business and stuff, and in the back of their minds, they say, well, if I fail, I still have dad.
Yeah,
you know, so it's not failing, it's not as hard compared if you had nothing.
Well, but you know, white people have that. You know, like there's like this whole net worth thing that's so real. I mean, like we often feel like if we fail, that's it.
Yeah.
And so there's this almost like self-deprecating attitude that we have if we make a mistake. Like it's almost like there's a guilt, there's a shame that goes with that, right? And that's something that I don't find oftentimes with white entrepreneurs, like similar positioned white entrepreneurs. They'll make a mistake and they're like, oh well, like that's what happens, like, and I go do something else. But there's also this sense that they can recover from whatever it is.
You're very true.
You know, they'll recover from it, and that's not necessarily the same either perception or idea that our community has. We always feel like we have to do one more thing. We have to prove. We have to work a little bit harder.
I mean, it's from past and the slavery and the history.
Yeah.
It's a struggle we had to put. So I get it. I think it'll take another 400 years, maybe. I don't know.
Well, I don't want it to take another 400 years.
Neither do I. I'm hoping for 10.
But I will say I am a strong believer in the idea that we have to sort of build our own pathways. That part of the way we get there is through recognizing that it's about building and supporting each other and creating pathways too. So like for me, having a conversation like this is incredible because I get to talk about these ideas, and I hope people hear them, they're inspired by them. Maybe they want to learn more about them. Maybe there's a trigger that helps them go and do something else.
That's the purpose.
Because I don't want to be one of the only on shelf.
And it tends to look and be like that a lot.
It does, and it doesn't, and I think that the only way that we really sort of break out of this thing is sort of having less reliance on someone else to help you get there. Like we gotta, like we should be able to empower and build from our community and have the resources, which we do, to be able to do that. So I am big on how do we support each other and how do we make things happen. I always say like, I could charge tons of money for my advice, but if someone reaches out to me, I'm always eager to say, hey, like, how can I help?
Awesome. So you all know, I'm going to make sure he leave his information so you all could all reach out to him and find out how he can help you guys. So with that, how can people connect with you? How can people go out and support you? IG at Mr. Karl Franz, Uncle Waithley's, so at Uncle Waithley's. Have it at the bottom.
I was about to say, at Uncle
right now he's not doing a good job.
At 67 Orange, at Acre Spa, at Mr. Karl Franz. Those are all the social handles.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. This was awesome.
I know. So I just wanted to say, everyone, thank you for viewing Caribbean Brilliance. Go out there and support Mr. Karl. As always, I'm your host, Mss Francois. That's MSS for multi-talented and super sexy. I know, that's easy.
And I'm taking this back over here. I'm not letting you forget my cup.
But don't forget to inspire one another until we lime again.